Sup? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Maro, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some more RPG horror stories. I'm super happy y'all enjoyed the live stream from last year, but this is a brand new year, a brand new time to decide what we want to do on here. I do want to do streams, and at some point I do want to find a way to incorporate some shorts, because I'm not sure if you noticed it, but D&D shorts are pretty popular on YouTube. They really do pop off. I don't want to do anything generic or anything that other people have done, so I don't know. I'll just explore my options, and you can let me know with your feedback once you see the shorts on here, whether you like the kind of things I do or not. While I'm getting that figured out, I'm gonna get to the first RPG horror story for today. The Tale of Sicko, or The First Time I Ran Away from a Game and Never Looked Back. This is a sequel or prequel or one of the few stories from the Sceptic story that we covered the other day. You remember the Sceptic, the one with high IQ, big brain moves? I'll probably leave a link to it in the description below. Probably make a playlist for the story itself. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But anyway, that's from the same writer about a different character. This time, it is a sicko. Trigger warning for mentions of any kind of sexual degeneracy imaginable. Hello again. This time, I am not going to tell you about something that happened to the association, thank God, but about something far more disturbing that I experienced at a free TTRPG convention, long before any of the two incidents I told you about. For those who want to know about those stories, here are the links. Tale of Sceptic, Tale of Mess. Oh, don't worry, we're going to be covering Tale of Mess immediately. Apparently, mess is a very mild way to describe what happened. It was an entirely unmitigated shitfest, but we'll get to it later. For now, we gotta cover about Sicko. Some years ago, I can't remember how many, Sorrow suggested us to go to a free convention, not too far away from our association. It was a nice place where you didn't need to pay the entrance and could just try new games and whatnot. They even had an incorporated bar. Would you look at that? It was me, Sorrow, Guild, Bastion, Besanzio, and two friends of mine from our town, Elbeard and his girlfriend, Silver. Once inside, I, Silver, Elbeard, and Bastion reached for a table with a new system and an interesting premise, a post-apocalyptic version of our world where both prehistoric beasts and dark magical creatures exist again. A nice concept with unique mechanics based on pulling a random stone out of a bag to see if what you tried to do succeeded, failed, or had an extra side consequence. And then, the pre-made character sheets arrived. Basically, there wasn't a single character available that wasn't a criminally deranged sex fiend, from necrophilic barbarian to the huntress who was in a sexual relationship with her mount, a saber-toothed tiger. What the fuck? You had me at like post-apocalyptic stuff and prehistoric beasts and dark magical things combined together, and then you've ruined it by trying to ham-fist some sort of weird pre-made characters that are sex fiends. Necrophilia and bestiality? What else are you gonna do? Oh my god, you know what? Actually, I don't even want to know what else you're gonna do, because I know the other one is the okay, I'm just gonna read. We're just gonna read and see how bad it is. I was much younger and more naive at the time, while now I'm older and barely any less naive. So I managed to convince myself that the master probably wanted to exaggerate this stuff to satirize the grimdark fantasy or something. I was wrong. That optimistic thought made me ignore the fact that the master looked like literally every stereotype of the top 10 worst 8chan infesting basement-dwelling neckbeards rolled into one. But since I myself am not exactly the best dressed, most attractive individual, I didn't judge him based on this. In retrospect, I should have. Gut feeling is a very important thing to have. If your gut is telling you that something's wrong and maybe you shouldn't be like in a specific position, at times it feels irrational to trust something like a gut feeling. But you know what? Trust it. Sometimes it may lead you to positive situations, or you just never get to participate in something and oh well. First things first, he brags about how the proper name of the GM in this game is the Torturer. Edgy as hell, yes, but I could get past it because I didn't know it was a sign of things to come. I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of coming. That's a horrible joke. Anyway, if the game master in this game is called a torturer, you should probably run, because that sounds like something straight up out of a BDSM dungeon. Like for real, it sounds like a weird hentai mod of a creature made for a Doom 2016 game, and they called it the torturer, and it's just like a I don't know, a really fat guy with like balls hanging out or something, wearing all kinds of BDSM stuff. That's the only thing I can imagine as the torturer. Torture sounds like a weird sex evolution of dominatrix. You have dominatrix, super dominatrix, and then the torturer with extra pierced nipples. We played for a while, and then the incident. Anybody who's sensitive should stop reading right now, because we delve into some pretty sick and degenerative territory. Our characters meet a 9-year-old girl, and then the torturer asks us for the equivalent of a roll with impossibly high results requiring to pass it. I'm starting to get suspicious and ask what the roll's for. He proudly explains that if we don't pass it, we can't physically refrain ourselves from sexually assaulting, torturing, murdering, and eating the 9-year-old girl. Not necessarily in that order. What the fuck? You should have ran. You should have stood up and ran immediately. What the fuck? All 4 players were in shock. And notice that when the torturer was narrating that, he was, I crap you not, licking his lips and rubbing his belly, as if he was already tasting something delicious. Oh my god, I hope you call police on that. What a freak! Oh my god! I think that's the first time I've read a situation like this. This is wild, dude. When LBR tried to point out that such a thing would go against player agency, the torturer explained proudly that in this setting, civilization collapsed and morality and decency as concept are so dead. Not even the memory of them exists anymore. Everybody is a savage, and therefore they need to pass a test to suppress their carnal urges, who are part of their very nature. This is stupid. This is dumb. If you ever have a DM that tries to put this sort of weird... This is a DM that's trying to... It literally created a game for fetishizing some nonsense, some deranged shit, dude. This is some deranged, fucking gross as fuck shit right here. I don't even have the vocabulary to try to describe it. This is some troglodyte bullshit, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. This is the kind of person you don't ask politely to leave. This is the kind of person you strap down and castrate. Just in case, because you never know. Maybe this is coming from like something they've done or something they've fantasized about, and that's extreme. It's beyond red flag. It's wee woo territory. It's the police territory, castration territory. That's what it is. That's what it feels like, dude. This is the kind of twisted stuff you think crazy people would just not put like publicly out, and yet here's a situation. This guy brought this game to this table and is trying to fetishize doing gross stuff to a 9-year-old in a TTRPG. This is disgusting as hell. While I was lost trying to understand how the actual frick could such a walking disease on mankind be allowed to present his hardcore, do not Google it, simulator to a TTRPG event where underage people could be present, Elbeard suddenly remembered that he had a little time before he needed to catch a train to return to his distant hometown, giving us the excuse to escape that table. I later found out how the torture was authorized to be present. Basically, not safe for work themes are not forbidden at this event, as long as you make sure to advertise them as such and to stop underage people from actually participating. Since he promised to do so, no scrutiny was done to see exactly why this game was not safe for work. We contacted the organizers of the event, and the next year, the torture wasn't there anymore. Hope you enjoy the tale. I feel gross and icky, but at least good for the organizers to not invite this guy back. For real. I'm glad y'all reported this sort of thing and the organizers decided to take actual action and not let this weird sick bastard back, because ugh, god, it's just we need a brain cleanser. We need a brain cleanser and you just get to the next story before I completely lose it, dude. Ugh. The tale of Mess, who wasn't just a problem player. Here I am again with another tale of the wonderful world of my association, where welcoming everyone is law, even if the guy was the Boston Strangler. I don't think I know Boston Strangler, but okay. This tale took place long before our disadventure with Sceptic, and it was positively more on the bizarre side than genuinely every day we stray further from the grace of God side. As usual, we're all on a spectrum among the players and so forth. We were not even playing, but rather having a small pre-session party, where we got introduced to the individual that shall henceforth be referred to as Mess, for reasons that shall become clear soon enough. And yes, I'm intentionally using purple prose because if I have to be called a liar, I will retaliate by writing as an obnoxious, pompous prick. Enough with my assault, let's continue. First thing first, Mez decided to grab every single bottle of Coca-Cola in the association, empty them in the sink, and when confronted, explained that he needed those bottles to use them as vases for his floral compositions. When asked further questions, he flat out admitted of not having flowers of any kind, but it still saw nothing wrong with what he did. In case you're wondering, yes, he is another case of a special needs person whose parents refuse to do actual parenting in the field of explaining him that he is not entitled to do something just because he wants to. Pain is all. At least you could have just been like, hey guys, can you just drink this Coca-Cola? I just need the bottle, but can you just drink it? And maybe like pour it in cups and stuff and like let somebody else drink it. Don't just waste stuff like that. Well, while we're planning our next session, if I recall correctly, and I might not, Guild was mastering and needed a pause. Mez came, took out a bowl of chips, got out of the building, and started tossing them all on the ground because he needed to feed the little birds. Little birds who, I feel is important to point out, were not actually there. Okay, so the guy just being basically an inconsiderate prick. And listen, I understand, some people with special needs sometimes cannot control their actions and stuff like that, but from the way this is written so far in the story, it seems like the person was aware of what they were doing, but just decided to do it anyway because they kind of like felt like it. And if somebody is doing that, knowing actively what they're doing, fully aware, fully conscious what they're doing, and knowing that it would, be the wrong or inconsiderate or the bad thing to do, but do it anyway because haha funny, then I don't have another word for other than somebody being a jerk or a prick. At the time, there was another member to our posse, and Chai hadn't arrived yet. Said former member, we're still in contact, worry not, we just play online for various reasons, was Sorrow, and decided to try and master a new game he was creating. A fairly simple system based on horror products such as the old Resident Evil games and the earlier Jurassic Park movies, heavy on survival horror atmosphere and mechanics, and with emphasis on how stress and fear affect the character's ability to survive. Unfortunately, we were the only users at the association, therefore Mess was lumped with us. I thought nothing bad could happen since Sorrow's system was easy to learn and could therefore entertain Mess without issues. I was wrong. One thing you need to know about Sorrow, he's not a diplomatic person. Like, at all. He won't go out of his way to be actively offensive, but he can be blunt, especially when you manage to get on his nerves. So anyway, Mez managed to get on his nerves because the whole session he kept deciding that he was getting a Kalashnikov machine gun for no reason at all. Would it have been nice to just give him the Kalashnikov even just to appease him because it's not like he was going to ruin the session? Probably. But since Mess didn't even try to immerse himself in the adventure and kept interrupting, Sorrow was, to put it gently, not entirely inclined to accommodate his demands. And by that I mean, dude, I'm the master, I decide what you'll find. As I said, Sorrow can get rude when aggravated, only to feel like crap for it after basically 5 seconds. And so the session ended because Sorrow himself, feeling blue for having snapped, left the room to cool off. For a while, Mess was busy with other activities of the association, to which I'm not privy, but after some weeks he returned. We had to try and make him play again. It was my second attempt at making a Nossoverse campaign, the one with Sceptic was the fourth. I might have an unhealthy obsession with a Fate franchise, and the first, and thankfully only, one with the original system created by me. I will not share the rules for that system, by the way. It's unbalanced, broken, untested, barely coherent old shame, and I will take those secrets to my bloody grave. If you want to get them, you better hire an epic level necromancer. Please and thank you for all the fish. Anyhow, Mez created quite an interesting concept, even though with the help of another member of the association, Condor. I'll tell you about him in due time. Ryder Xayar, the Great, King of Persia, medically known as the bald, bling-covered metrosexual who got humiliated by Gerard Butler in those Zack Snyder movies. Is this a reference? This is actually a reference that I don't understand. I don't think I know the movie. Zack Snyder films? I don't know, dude. I don't recognize this. Once we started introducing him to the mechanics and the adventure, he rapidly decided that playing the game meant that he could basically do anything, no matter how little sense it made, before getting bored. After wasting half of our gaming time to help him create his character and to introduce him, I went to another room. We later found out that he decided the right thing to do would be to physically destroy some of the association's comic books that was supposed to be used by everybody, because he decided that once he finished reading with them, they needed to be made impossible to enjoy for everybody else. Last time we saw him was at a New Year celebration, where he managed to do the impossible. Actually piss Bastian off. Bastian is an insanely chill dude. Up until that point, I genuinely believed that a part of his autism was a biological inability to actually be angered. So imagine my surprise when I arrived and saw Bastian clearly angry. Turns out the Mess decided his contribution to the party was going around to tell anybody, "Leave, nobody wants you here, you stupid animal." He did it to me as well, and while Bastian and I were just annoyed, Someone else at the party, someone more sensitive and fragile, could be genuinely hurt by this new mantra of his. But before we could decide how to solve the problem without turning the whole party into a drama-filled crapfest, we found out that Mess destroyed more properties of the association and then decided to cut himself a slice of homemade cheesecake, gently provided by a former member of our TTRPG group, Metal. Now, Metal was not a good fit for our group, but not because she was a problem player, simply because she wasn't really interested in the RPG world, and played just because we were her friends, and she wanted to spend time with us and to be included. She left the TTRPG table with no hard feelings, and we still see her from time to time. This just to explain why I fully sympathize with Metal. When she saw the cake she worked hours on being destroyed because Mess decided to hold said cake still by, and I crap you not, shove his entire hand inside the cake, giving zero crap about how he ruined it. This guy's not a mess, he's a train wreck, a disaster, an actual physical hazard. Why should he care? He got his slice, so there's nothing wrong with nobody else being able to get one because he turned it inside out. That was the last straw. We bypassed the board of directors, taking advantage of the fact that Mess parents were there in person, and told them in no uncertain terms that Mess was misbehaving and that we're not going to jeopardize our every day at the association anytime he wanted to act on his selfish, destructive impulses. It ended much better than the Sceptic because Mess parents actually managed to be reasonable. The fact they never gave him rules doesn't mean they didn't know what he was doing was wrong. They were just afraid to do something to stop him. Nonetheless, they accepted that he was not a good fit for the association, and that was the last we ever saw of him. Yeah, kind of team is a horror story, so I apologize if it wasn't juicy enough. Juicy? I mean, oh my god, this is just dripping with juice. Not for RPG horror stories, but of kind of a bad person that he is. Good lord. Mess and Sceptic and Sicko. You have a really interesting life you live. If you have any more stories, by the way, OP, I would love to read them because not only are they a great learning lesson on what you should not do, but it's also just like a look into the kind of terrible things you guys had to deal with. This is it's unfair for y'all to deal with this sort of thing. And I'm not happy when people have to deal with problem players, but I feel like sharing these sort of stories to see how y'all handled it and so that everybody else can see what kind of problem behavior to look out for in the future is, I think in a way it's a good thing because it's kind of like a cautionary tale. It sucks y'all had to go through. I'm really sorry that you had to deal with this. I'm really sorry you had to deal with somebody like this. Somebody destroys someone's... Who destroys a cake, dude? Who destroys an actual cake? Why would somebody do that? And what a terrible mentality is, well, I got my slice, so what would it matter if anybody else got their slice? Destroy the cake. Terrible. What a inconsiderate person. What a horribly inconsiderate person Mess is. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG horror stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.